So before the video starts today, just wanted to say that this is a series that my friend Ben is hosting. His channel is Ben Horner, and you can find him there. He is hosting this, and I'm technically the guest. However, he wanted me to post it here instead of his channel since it applies more to what I guess I kind of do. So, yeah, definitely check him out and give him a follow because he deserves it for putting all this together, because otherwise it just would not have come together at all. So definitely make sure to do that. Alrighty, now without further ado, let's get into this.
Yo, dude, what brings you to the game room, man?
Oh, I was just playing some Battlefront.
Oh, Battlefront?
PS2. Yeah, for the PS2.
You've been playing some Battlefront, dude. I have kind of mixed opinions about that game. Actually, let's talk about it.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay. So, Star Wars Battlefront was released in 2004, and it's a first-person and third-person shooter. And you pretty much you play as like a soldier, and you like are in either the bad side or the good side, and so basically the best way to describe the missions are capture command posts, which are like spawn points, and kill enemies. Just tell me, like, what do you think about it?
Well, I do give it leniency since it is the first Battlefront. It wasn't like they exactly knew what they were getting into at first. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they were feeling the waters out, seeing whether it would actually be a good idea or whether it would be a poor idea. And so I can understand why it wasn't great, because they didn't have the feedback of the community immediately, which is why we now have right over here, dun, 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 Battlefront 2.
Battlefront 2.
Which is why this game exists. So, yeah, I think it was okay. Playing the campaign really sucked. If you skip the stories, like, there was literally just feeling like there was no meaning to anything you were doing other than just, there's an enemy, and I kill it. I think the graphics were about reasonable for a PS2, however, you really cannot tweak the settings of the game graphically at all. Like, I tried to change it because I was playing on a 2011 Samsung 40-inch, and by all means, you could not change resolution. I couldn't even see things that were, like, out into, like, a water area or something, like, on, I think it was Kashyyyk, where you have the docks. You're trying to prevent the CIS landing. And they have a spawn all the way out in the water. You cannot see enemies that are in the water that are kind of far away. They appear as like a dot. And you now have to hit them with a sniper just with the dot. And they could shoot you and laser you like it was nobody's business. Or just walk by you, look at you, and then walk away.
So, I thought that the campaign was a bit too simple. I thought that it was like, in a way, I mean, it kind of gets boring after a while. Like, I mean, prior to doing like the playthrough of the campaign, I had only really played like instant action, which is pretty much the same thing as the campaign. It's just capture command posts and kill enemies. So I would say, like, I kind of found it underwhelming. What did did it get boring for you?
Yeah, the campaign just seemed very bland. Like, and I think one of the worst parts is that in being able to play both sides in the campaign, you would play one mission from one side, and you play like 4 from one side, and you swap over to the other. But they were different planets and different missions. So you couldn't even see the same mission you played on one side as the other. I hated that you couldn't be the heroes. You could see the heroes who were honestly just like brain dead. Like, they would look at an enemy and then just stare at him, and then finally after 5 minutes decide, oh yeah, I'm gonna kill him. Like, they didn't make any sense. But yeah, it was bland.
So I took some notes on the game, actually. So I thought, like, the things that I liked about it were The best. It has the best loading screen ever. Best loading screen ever. It goes dit 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 dit.
It's like zooming in.
Yeah, that's such an. I love it. It's like the only loading screen that I really, really look forward to. So the loading screen was cool. The gameplay, I mean, it is fun. It does get a little bit old after a while. Killing enemies is fun, and this note actually I might kind of go back on. So you definitely get better. You get more and more kills per level, but at the same time, it's not like there's very much like technique with killing like the enemies. Usually, I mean, besides the droideka, all the enemies you just spray them down, and it's not really like you don't really need to learn that much. Like it's just kind of spray them down. And the other things that I like were the maps were pretty cool. And my favorite map was Camino. I thought that was cool.
Camino was...
That was the one where it's like, it's the water world and it's like raining and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, that was fun. It's very, very, like, you have to have the CPs or else it's just, like... And even then, it's just non-stop raiding. And that was... There's a couple flaws to it, I think. Number one, I would say, would be the fact that since the AI, they you can tell they really did not put much thought into it. All they do is just throw grenades at you, and then take like 5 minutes to process whether you're good or bad. So it's not hard to kill them. You can play any class you want because they suck at killing you so bad. And then on top of it, the maps, I think, the way they did the AI makes the maps look bad because there is just points of where it is just a slaughterhouse. And I think one of the best maps that can describe this would be Bespin, where it's the floating islands, not the one where you're having to deal with whatever, but there is this one hallway that it is just a slaughterhouse between the two. They just flock to this hallway and then proceed to kill each other. And if you are not there to shoot at the enemy, your AI buddies just die and they just walk right through. And it's like, why do I have to be here? I want to fly the planes, but I can't because we're going to lose all our CPs because the AI can't figure out how to actually be competitive. I find that really takes away from it in that regard.
The things I didn't really like as much were, I thought that the walking feels pretty slow. I think like there's no way to run.
Yeah.
And I played a bit of Battlefront 2, and I like that one a lot more. But you could run. They fixed it. You could run by that point. And so that was the first thing I didn't really like. All of the enemies seemed the same to me, which I said before. I mean, there's not really that much they're all kind of similar. Really, there's no technique really.
And the droidekas too. It just, I don't understand with, and I'm sorry to butt in for that, but how do you make something so big have such a tiny hitbox? Like, you can shoot it in the face all you want and you will not land a shot because the hitbox is all the way at the very bottom of the creature.
Yeah, so I didn't like the droidekas either, but I thought that, so when I was playing through it, I only really used the blaster rifle, and I never switched to like any other gun besides the bazooka or the missile launcher, and that was to destroy like vehicles and stuff. But I never really found myself using any of the other weapons. The worst weapon in my opinion was the sniper rifle, because I really like using sniper rifles in games, and I'm like, oh yeah, I want to use that gun now. But the gun, a sniper rifle should be a one-hit kill, in my opinion. Like, it shouldn't... I mean, there were times where it would take up to 3 hits with the sniper rifle to get him. And you have to keep in mind, like, everyone's always moving. I mean, it's not hard to land shots, but sometimes you have to get, like, 3 shots on the enemy to kill them. And the sniper is just It's like you'd much rather just use like a blaster or something, or just not use that weapon. But I so badly want to use it, so that's what I hate the most about it, because it's like you want to use it, but it sucks. I didn't like that gun, and I thought that. What do you think about the movie cutscenes?
Well, I skipped a lot of them, but it was really cheesy for that. But going back to the guns, I agree. You primarily can just, like, out of all of them, you really just use the blaster rifle because all the other guns just seem so impractical for any real situation you run into. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I think one of, like, some of the most pointless ones are just, like, for the Clone Wars is the Engineer Trooper's shot cannon. Like, it's just so dumb. But I say out of all the ones I used, I'm always a shotgun guy for the Galactic. Um, I love the shotgun, even if I'm not at close range. I will blaster pistol them, but the shotgun is just such a, like, almost like a one-hit kill, if you land your shot, that I just love it. The sniper rifle was the one I used, probably the second, like, actual second most would be what I had used for Clone Wars. There were many maps where there was just a lot of turrets and a lot of crap going on further away, and I actually found it hard to land shots because of the enemies' stop and then flicky go movement, where they would just, like, pause and then just make a hard right for no reason other than they can make a hard right. So yeah, I blame it a lot on the flicky movements and crappy design for the AI, because I just find that they did not put nearly enough time into the AI to make them good, like, at all. Like, the AI just really killed it for me.
Yeah, I mean, you and I are being very harsh about this game, but at the same time, I feel like so Battlefront 2 came out only like a year later, and just from I played Battlefront 1 on the PS2, and I played it on an old kind of crappy TV. So it wasn't a high quality. It was not like a really like amazing looking game. And then I played. I have Battlefront 2 on the Xbox 360, and I was playing it on like an HD TV, and the gameplay was a lot more fun. And it was, you could run, you could play as Jedi and stuff, but. So that all of this was only a year later, and that to me it's just so much better. So in a way, you kind of it
almost makes you, like, think that, like, Battlefront, like the very first Battlefront, was just thrown out there to try and just test the waters. Like, they just kind of came up with this. They're just like, okay, let's see what they did, what everyone thinks. And once they got the feedback, they basically just scrapped that and moved on to this because this was so much better. And I can't disagree. Because for me, at the end of the day, the gameplay really wasn't the killer of it. Like, I really can't say that the gameplay was all that bad. It was bland for the story and whatever, but at the end of the day, like, the AI for me, just really did it. Like, because a lot of the problems that I had with it stemmed from the AI being bad.
I didn't really care about the AI, man. I mean, I thought the AI, there were points where, like, there were just soldiers randomly out, like running in circles.
Yeah, just doing nothing that makes things that make no freaking sense at all.
The engineer, I only had one engineer throw a med kit to me the entire game.
Are you kidding me? I've had like 9 every game thrown to me. The AI are just like, it's not even that they made me lose. They just, like, it was just an annoyance, because it's like I would have hit a shot and then they just decided, oh yeah, I'm gonna just make a hard left where there's nothing.
The first mission of the entire thing is just, we want you to go and slaughter all of the Gungans or whatever. Like the Gungans. I played it backwards, so I went from, like, I got pretty good during, like, the Galactic Civil War, then I think they were probably expecting people to start with maybe the Clone Wars, so that's the first level of the game. The later levels of the Galactic Civil War are pretty hard, so I got pretty good by that point. So I went to the first level of the game where you're slaying Gungans, and the team, I didn't die once. Like, we were able to go to their little, their, like, force field thing, and we just slaughtered them. They kept spawning in, and we were just killing them at the spawn, and we won without dying. Like, Tom Kane voiced Yoda in the game. He played Admiral Akbar, in The Last Jedi. So he like
Okay.
they got like a lot of like the backup voices for the characters in Star Wars. So they didn't just pick up like
Just some guy off the street.
the voice of like Mr. Krabs in Battle of Bikini Bottom. He's like,
The only good robot is the one that's given me them shiny objects.
"Ahoy, SpongeBob!" It's an enjoyable game, and I'm sure players in 2004 were really enjoyed this game. And although we're reviewing it in 2021, when we have this entire game room,
Way better games.
like right now, I'm hanging in the game room, man, and so are you. We're in the game room, and just like look how many options we have, man.
Or your parents' basement, either or. I love Battlefront 2 just because of the fact that, like, just playing Battlefront 2, like, 1 year after that, you can see a very, very large graphical difference between the two. Like, it is unbelievable how much better the graphics.
Well, it's not just the graphics either. I mean, it's more the mechanics are.
And the mechanics too, but the graphics blew me away because if you like think about it though, like think in the way of you had a game for 1 year and then the next year you released another and the graphics like quality wise within a year had doubled. Like that's just mind blowing because we don't see that nowadays anymore. It's like 5 years and then you'll get a better graphics like thing or whatever with it.
I would recommend Star Wars Battlefront. I would recommend it to just anyone who's a fan of Star Wars or anyone who'd like to play maybe like an older first-person shooter. I would recommend it.
Yeah.
I would say that too, and it's a pretty good for what it is. And I don't know what the cost of Battlefront 2 is by any stretch.
You could probably find it for like $5.
Yeah, I mean honestly, at the end of the day, I like Battlefront the original one just because it got me into it. At the end of the day, there's really no reason you shouldn't play Battlefront 2 over it. But if you want to be like, if you actually want to like get the full effect, you ought to just play it because then you'll start to see the differences and maybe you'll have a better, like more fonder opinion. I have it as one of my favorites, so I would recommend it. I don't play Battlefront 2 nearly as much, but oh fuck, oh there goes that. I dropped Battlefront 2 on the freaking floor.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for coming to the game room. It was
Yeah,
nice
no
having-
problem.
Yeah, dude. And remember, never screen peek.
I'm kind of doing that right now.